show.
The biggest compliment we get is when people tell you it looks like a zone, because we're playing man-to-man. We've never played a zone, and we've had multiple commentators on games say that we switched to a zone defense, and it's like we don't play a zone. So it's that's our kids knowing how to get midline, ball line, and really stunt recovers, and it's that for us is kind of the exciting part.
Another round of Kansas Sports Chatter is ready to go. My name is Cole Ryan. Thanks for joining us, whether this is your first episode watching and listening or episode 40 plus. We're getting close to 50. We'll count that up, but we're getting close to 50 episodes for a show that started out as just a way for people to listen to the guests. That's what you want. You don't want your opinions. We don't want any hot takes, anything like that. So we bring in the guests, let them talk. And that's what we're going to do again today. As you look at the guests for today, Julia Schlessiger, also Regan Widener, and Alyvia Batchman with Ellinwood girls basketball will take on the leadoff question. Brent Maycock with Keisha Covered, one of the staff writers. He'll be talking about all those mid-season madness tournaments that were happening here back in the month of January. Rick Hetzel, longtime coach at St. Thomas Aquinas girls basketball. All he does is get to the state tournaments. We'll talk about that consecutive streak for the Saints and plenty of other things with Rick Hetzel. Joanna Chadwick, longtime sports writer in the state of Kansas and now with Vype magazine, one of the contributors, also an instructor at Derby High School, will be joining us to talk some Wichita athletics. And Ellie Stearns with Fort Hays State women's basketball and out of Andover Central High School will be our next level talents. Here is the leadoff question with the Ellinwood Eagles. It's today's leadoff question with Julia Schlessiger, a member of the Ellinwood girls basketball team. Julia, your question, what's the hardest thing to do or learn in your sport of basketball?
I would say the hardest thing is resetting after mistakes so that way it doesn't affect the rest of your game. Just mentally staying strong throughout the game after, mistakes are just a hard run, just staying focused on the goal at hand.
When did that kind of sink in for you? When were you kind of able to grasp that in your career?
Probably last season. I had some confidence struggles, and once I realized just to not focus on your mistakes but focus on how you can reset and continue going after them, that really set in for me last year.
Anything that you do specifically that helps you reset? Anything that stands out?
Usually just a quick little deep breath, and then I'll just tell myself in my head to reset after a mistake or something.
Any as far as getting your teammates on that same page, what do you do to try to help them?
I just try to focus on a positive mindset. Even in warm-ups and stuff, if someone's I'm not shooting good today or something, I tell them to reframe that to a positive way, so that way they can just keep focusing on the good.
That is Julia Schlessiger, a member of the Ellinwood basketball team, with our leadoff question. It is today's leadoff question with Regan Widener, a member of the Ellinwood basketball team. Regan, your question, what's the hardest thing to do or learn in your sport?
For me personally, it's kind of just been being comfortable with contact, putting myself in better positions on the court to score, especially, as I'm becoming comfortable with a position in the post. You really have to, be aware of that and be comfortable with that. So pushing through contact.
Anything you do in practice that kind of helps you out through that contact? Do you just have teammates or coaches that get physical with you? But what do you do to kind of help yourself out?
Yeah, we'll go against teammates too, but sometimes we'll have our coaches, get a pad out and we'll work on finishing through contact a lot. So, but a lot of that has been just carrying that into learning how to take that and carry it into the game. So.
When did that kind of sink in for you? Is that you talked about, really improving it this year? When did it kind of make sense for you that, what you need to do to combat that?
I'd say it started just when I started playing more basketball. So I'd say over the summer this past season when we did all of our summer workouts and tournaments, and then it's kind of just carried on into the season, and I'm still adjusting to that now. So,
do you ever try to bring that physicality to, your opponent first before they even bring it to you? Like, is that one of those things that you try to initiate too?
That's what I'm working on. I think it's definitely really important to do that first. That's how you get, open looks, and that's how you get rebounds on defense too. So, yeah, I definitely say so.
For like that, as far as being that the hardest thing in basketball, where does that rank? Do you feel like in other sports, as far as the hardest things, as far as what you have to do? Is that one of the harder things in all sports?
Depends on the sport, because not all sports require that contact, but especially in higher contact sports, I definitely say that's one of the top reasons.
That is Regan Widener with the Ellinwood basketball team with our leadoff questioner. It's today's leadoff question with Alyvia Batchman, a member of the Ellinwood basketball team. Alyvia, the question, what's the hardest thing to do or learn in your sport?
I'm going to say handling defensive pressure as a point guard.
Okay, so how hard is that? Like, what makes it so challenging for you?
I think what makes it hard is, I'm not the best with my ball moves, but when they're faster than you and they have quick hands, you just have to figure out a way to get past them and keep the ball in your possession. But luckily I have teammates that are with me, so if I happen to have one of the better defenders, I can give it to almost any of my teammates, and I know they're going to be confident with the ball as well.
I mean, as far as getting better at that, is that just simply, getting better handles and continuing to work on your dribble? Like, what are some of the things that you've done just to kind of help you out to handle that pressure?
Practice is a big thing, and going against some of our better defenders in practice helps me work on my speed and just awareness, I think, of where to position myself.
How much do you guys want to, kind of open things up and allow one person like yourself to bring things up? Or if there is pressure in the backcourt to, maybe, break it by just, using the pass more?
We definitely pass the ball because we have a lot of people who can bring the ball up. So if I'm being pressured or if one of my teammates is, we just know we can give it back and forth and we can run that defender and we'll get the ball up the court.
So for you, is it kind of a nice sigh of relief when you just see everyone, settling back and beyond half court?
Yeah, it is. It makes it a lot easier on me.
Who are some of the teams that have pressed you the most? Like, who are some of the teams that have the best pressure?
This past game we just played last night, St. John, I had a pretty good defender on me. They tried pressing, and we're a good press breaking team though because of all of our ball handlers. But I would say, St. John. That's probably about it so far.
All right, that's Alyvia Batchman with Ellinwood basketball with our leadoff question. Year's not over, but what a year it has been so far for Ellinwood High School on the girls' athletics, state championship on the volleyball team. And I know it's not always the same athletes. The different ones go out for different sports, but basketball, 15-1 on the year. So we talked about Rick Hetzel, who will be a guest on today's show, St. Thomas Aquinas girls basketball coach. And they've had 31 consecutive appearances at the state tournaments. All they do is get to the state tournament. It seems like what all Ellinwood does is win on the girls' side of this year. Undefeated volleyball, 15-1 in basketball, and even since that loss in basketball, they have been blazing through opponents. So big thanks to the Lady Eagles joining us here on today's show. Our sponsors, it is SPX, big video screens. Get them in your gym. Your gym needs SPX specialized video wall solutions. Wheatland Electric, headquarters in Scott City, serving 14 Kansas counties. Barton Community College. Start your next chapter at Barton, always enrolling at bartoncccc.edu. Eastus Media, the voice of the Pratt High Greenbacks, delivering big-time coverage to small-town sports. Check them out. Also, Meyers Enterprises, bring your business into the 21st century. You can schedule a free consultation with Meyers Enterprises. A break in the action. Come back with Brent Maycock, one of the staff writers for KSHSAA Covered. Good conversation with Brent after this. SPX Specialized Video Wall Solutions. Your gym needs SPX. Welcome back on the show. It is time for our story time, where we have the opportunity to talk with one of the Acacia coverage staff writers, Brent Maycock, joining us here, and just a wealth of knowledge, just the coverage that you guys provide. You can check it out at acaciacovered.com. All the great stories, free to read for anybody there. Great stuff. So, like, for you guys, keeping up with everything is just incredible. But for you, like the midseason tournaments, what was the mad rush like for you, and how much did you enjoy it?
Well, it definitely was a mad rush. It was actually like my first week back out covering stuff after having knee replacement surgery. So it was kind of getting back into it real quick like there with that. But the weather, you always kind of run into, are we going to have to deal with weather? And some years we escape it, and some years we get smacked right in the face with it. And that was certainly the case this year with the bad weather moving in late Friday night, all day Saturday. Really created a lot of havoc on our already crazy week. It's already a week where so many midseason tournaments are going on. It's the big week for midseason tournaments. There's some going on the week after here and there, a lot more girls tournaments that week, but the bulk of the midseason tournaments are that 1 week. And when the weather moves in, it really kind of messes everything up. So you kind of get a schedule laid out. Okay, I'm going to go try to hit this tournament this day and this tournament this day. And then you just crumple up that paper, throw it in the trash, and fly by the seat of your pants a little bit. And so that's kind of what I had to do a little bit. Last week for sure.
What did stand out to you? I mean, I know there are a lot of good wrestling tournaments, in month of January as well. But for basketball, wrestling, like, what stood out to you with some of those midseason tournaments?
In basketball, I got a chance to go up to the Twin Valley League tournament, and that's always such a great tournament. I mean, the best small school league in the state, as far as I'm concerned, when you're talking Class 1A, right around that level. And it was just interesting to see. I was curious to watch that Hanover-Axtell title game. Those two had really separated themselves in that league as really being kind of the cream of the crop. And Axtell taking a 35-game winning streak into that game, and then Hanover really having a great season, kind of on its comeback a little bit, so to speak. And for about 3 minutes, it was everything you thought it was going to be. And then Hanover just took over and really overwhelmed Axtell in that game. They got Axtell all out of sorts and really clamped down on Colin Shaughnessy, who had just a monster couple of weeks leading into that tournament. And so, it was a big win for Hanover. They win the game 75-48. And just the manner in which they went out and dominated a very good Axtell team that I think is going to be, one of the teams at the end of the season that you're looking at as challenging for the state title again after winning it last year. And for Hanover to really go out and dominate that game was a pretty big statement maker.
What about Silver Lake girls? I mean, they just continue to, each year they're really, really good, but it just seems like every sport, like that group of girls, they're on something right now.
Yeah, they are. They really are. And, that team that they had 2 years ago that went undefeated and won the Class 3A state championship team, that team was dominant. They won every game that year by double digits, except for the state championship game when they beat Heston by 5 or 6, I believe it was. But, almost half of their wins, and maybe even more than half of their wins that year, were 30-point wins. And when I talked to Kyle Porter after Silver Lake went down and just dominated a really good Burlington tournament this year, there were some highly ranked teams in that tournament. When you talk about Burlington, host Burlington, they were ranked in Class 3A. Girard, having almost all of its team back from state last year, ranked high in 3A. Ottawa and Independence both ranked pretty high in Class 4A. And Silver Lake just went down there and completely dominated. They beat Girard by 27. They beat Burlington by 25. And when I talked to Coach Porter after that game, he said, this might be my most connected team. And when he says that, knowing what he had 2 years ago, that's pretty impressive that this group is the way it is. They may not have that real strong inside post player like Mackenzie McDaniel was, where you can kind of just get her the ball and let her go. But the one thing that they've had over the last 4 years is Kaylin Haney running the point guard. And you want to talk about just the definition of a point guard. I mean, she gets the team in the office. She keys their defense. She gets to the free throw line. She facilitates for her other teammates. Just everything you want in a high school girls point guard. I mean, I'm sure Kyle would love to clone her and have her for 4 more years or whatever it might be. I mean, I might have to petition the Acacia, like the NCAA, all these extra years getting added in. But, she just kind of makes that team go. And she's kind of been the common thread for Silver Lake's run of success here lately in basketball.
Well, I know these midseason tournaments have been around for a really long time, but it almost feels like now there's more of a focus, Brent, where it's almost like everyone's trying to outdo each other. And it's such a good thing for fans and spectators because trying to get really talented teams all together. I don't know if that was always the focus. It was just kind of like, yeah, we put together a tournament. We got this team. But now it's just like this huge focus to have this really good competition. And it makes it great for the fans.
Yeah, it is. You have the league tournaments and there's a place for those too. A lot of these schools have their league tournaments, and those are cool. But you had the Dodge City Tournament of Champions, which years ago even, I mean, it was great. They would kind of go out and try to find maybe like the best team in Class 3A and bring them up, and it almost kind of had that Grand State tournament feel to it. And then McPherson's always had a really strong tournament, pulling teams from across the state. Adolph Rupp tournament has been going on forever, and some different tournaments. And it is cool seeing these tournaments that really kind of stretch the state, and it's fun. You bring these teams from all across the state that usually don't get a chance to see each other, and you put them in this setting. Colby Orange and Black's another one like that, where you bring in Wellington from down by Wichita. I know Latham North has played out in that tournament in the past. You get some teams from Colorado, Nebraska. So I love seeing those kind of tournaments. Those are super cool tournaments where you just have teams from all over really looking to test themselves against some of the best that's out there. And it'll be interesting to see how these midseason tournaments continue with with the expansion to 23 games. I think teams maybe will start going away from some of these midseason tournaments. You might see more tournaments pop up early in the season in December, and maybe have some of these showcase tournaments like Rock Creek had one this year that brought in like Hayes and Eudora, Rock Creek, Silver Lake, Heston, brought in some very high quality teams. So you might see some of the shift a little bit away from these midseason tournaments, but I love the midseason tournaments where you get teams from all over the place. I remember when I first started out in journalism, I was down in Emporia, and we'd go out to that McPherson tournament every year, and Carol Swenson was running it, and he had a media guide there, and you can see the history of the players that had played in that tournament and some of the teams that were there. And I mean, that tournament always is going to be one that just kind of has a spot right there. It's just so cool seeing tournaments like that.
I'll put you on the spot. Best media friendly tournament out there. Do you have one that rises to the top? Hospitality Room is up there too, obviously. So,
well, Hospitality Room, Nemaha Central Thunder Classic's hard to beat.
Okay.
They bring in some top-notch food. I remember going up there years ago and had some of the best chicken and noodles I've ever had in my life up there, and it was delicious. This year I went up there. The night I did go up there this year for semifinal night, they had a pulled pork spread out there. So nice. Nemaha Central Thunder Classic for Hospitality Rooms, right there. But like back in the day, like I said, McPherson, I still think they do a great job down there. I just haven't been down there in years. But I mean, you literally had a media guy that had every record that you could possibly think of for the tournament, all the history of the tournament, and that's Carol Swenson to a T. I mean, he put his imprint on that, and that's who he is. I mean, he's a state historian. You obviously know from track everything he does and putting together the honor roll and knowing all the history there. So, it's been a while since I've been down there, but back in the day, you couldn't beat the media experience in terms of just having everything you could possibly want to know about the tournament right at your fingertips with the McPherson Invitational.
Great experiences. Hey, Brent, appreciate it, and take it easy on that leg, okay?
Oh, will do.
All right, that's Brent Maycock, one of the staff writers for KSHSAA Cover. That'll do it for Storytime.
Power outages don't wait for a convenient time, and neither should you. Right now is the perfect season to invest in a standby generator from Wheatland Electric Cooperative. With low monthly payments and special financing for co-op members, reliable backup power is more affordable than you think. We'll help you survey, install, and finance a Generac standby generator, all with professional installation you can trust. Protect your home, your comfort, and your peace of mind before the next storm hits. Get a free quote today and make life without power a thing of the past. Visit us online or call us to get started today.
Whether it's a Friday night football game or a Saturday Scholars Bowl tournament, there are many people behind the scenes to make these activities function. The Kansas State High School Activities Association and the Student Advisory Team would like to thank all those who make these events happen for our students. Without school administrators, event workers, custodians, officials, transportation personnel, and office staff, these events would not be possible. Your hard work and dedication allow students throughout the state to participate in the activities that they love.
Welcome back on the show as we will bring in our next guest to talk some girls basketball. That is Rick Hetzel, the head coach of the St. Thomas Aquinas girls basketball team. Coach, appreciate you coming on the show. For you, kind of getting into that final stretch of the regular season, like what's the focus and the mentality like for your club right now?
Well, this year's quite a bit different than last year because we got everybody back. You know, we didn't have a senior last year, so the focus is a little bit higher than it was. It's nice to have that this year.
You talk about not having a senior last year, so like what was that like? Just trying to rely on some of the underclassmen to be your stepping up into leadership roles.
Well, I think that's what our problem was during the regular season. We didn't really have anybody do that, and so it really the end of the year when we got in the postseason, we really had a few kids step up, and it really became important to them.
You talk about finding leaders on the team, like it's a lot of times it's pretty easy to lean on, whoever the seniors or the group of seniors are. But for you, like developing those leaders, like, do you see that naturally happen throughout their high school careers, or do you kind of have to push some of them to the water?
Yeah, it changes every year. Fortunately, we've had a great group of kids here. I've been my entire career. We've had kids that are really focused on the team aspect and the team culture, and it's just grown from there. But as I said last year, without a senior, it was a little bit tougher. We kind of had to search that out and try to build that during the season.
That team culture, like what does it take to build that? And what type of culture did you want to start, even going back to the 90s when you took over at St. Thomas?
Well, Coach Harper's been with me every year, my assistant, and we've a strong sense of fundamentals, and we've tried to increase changes over the years as the game's developed. The game's changed a little bit, especially on the girls' side, I think. And it's we try and still stay with the fundamental aspect and just the hard nose, catch the ball 2 hands. But it's year to year it changes with our talent and how we adapt to that. And so the culture though stays the same. It's there's a few expectations and the kids are aware of those, and it's been nice to have that every year, that same expectation.
You mentioned the game changing, and there's, change is going to happen, but like, how have you seen the girls' game change? Like, what has stood out to you over the last 20 plus years?
Well, I think there's more single sport athletes now, which is a shame. And so you don't get quite the diversity of athletes coming to play. It's more, you get the basketball kids. You're not getting quite as many of the volleyball kids and the soccer kids that are playing multi-sports. And that's a shame. But, the game's changed in so many ways with whether it be a shot clock or just the speed of the game with the girls. And some of the kids now they've been playing for so long, and it's pretty exciting to see that on the girls' side.
You mentioned shot clock. Have you liked it so far as the implementation in Kansas?
It really hasn't, I don't think, made a difference for us. I think over the course of my career, I can look back and say maybe in all the games we've played, which is 600-700 varsity games, and I'd say maybe 5 or 6 times where it really made a difference in the game. So I don't think it's that big a difference for us, really.
Going back, starting as an assistant, like what did you learn just kind of as an assistant with Mark?
Oh, well, I've been with a lot of different head coaches, but with Mark Nussbaum, that was really kind of the difference maker for me. I had just got back from a Bobby Knight clinic, and I went into practice with Coach Nussbaum, and he was saying the exact same things that I learned at the clinic, and it was kind of neat as a young coach to get that just validation of everything with the guy that was now my new mentor. That was really, for me, it was a life-changing moment.
What are some of the things you either took from Coach Nussbaum or even like a Bobby Knight? Are those some of the things that you try to infuse in your team?
Oh, there's so many stories. We need this to go a lot longer than just this interview. Some of them, it's just been a great learning experience. But Coach Nussbaum was so big on just shell type of defense, jumping to the ball, one man removed, ball side of screen, and you just go through all that stuff over and over again with your kids and just develop that in a half court defense. And that has been a fundamental of our program for years, is just a man-to-man defense. And the same thing Coach Knight was saying that Mark Nussbaum said.
That man-to-man, like anything that you try to teach, you mentioned jumping to the ball, but what do you try to break down as far as your man-to-man and what makes it so good?
Well, I think it sometimes it's not so good, but the biggest compliment we get is when people tell you it looks like a zone, because we're playing man-to-man. We've never played a zone, and we've had multiple commentators on games say that we switched to a zone defense, and it's like we don't play a zone. So it's that's our kids knowing how to get midline, ball line, and really stunt recovers, and it's that for us is kind of the exciting part.
We talked about culture, and I mean, obviously the track record and the history of St. Thomas Aquinas, and the multiple state appearances, the consecutive streak. Like for you, like as a coach, I know you're in the thick of a season right now, and you're focused on your team. But do you ever, like, especially at the end of a year, like just take a step back and realize what you're kind of in the middle of right now?
Not really. I think that's going to be
Oh,
one
good.
of those things that I kind of look at maybe when I'm done. When I'm retired, then I can kind of look back with Coach Harbor and kind of think about that, and maybe it'll mean something then. But my mom, when she was alive, she would kind of say things, and she was my biggest fan. So since that time, it's like it doesn't really matter right now. It's kind of just, it's for the kids, and you just kind of, every year is different, and you're kind of doing it for this team this year, and that's all that really matters.
Do you feel like, the expectations of St. Thomas Aquinas, like, do the girls kind of feel that? I mean, I got to mention, they just come in like razor sharp focused each and every year.
Yeah, you come to practice sometime. I don't know about the razor sharp focus each time, but the expectations are real. And it's, I think the pressure put on the kids is real. And we talk about pressure being a privilege, and these kids have created that. And it's almost sometimes an unfortunate part of it, but they embrace it and go with it. So it's just kind of one of those things.
Looking at your schedule, and you got off to that great start, you hit that bump, your first loss with Staley High School. Like, how often do you, I mean, I know you're right there in Kansas City, but like, do you enjoy playing like the Missouri schools, or do you try to get more KC schools, or what's kind of your philosophy on your schedule?
Play who we can.
Yeah.
I mean, it's tough for us to fill out a schedule, and Staley is just so good. I mean, they are loaded, and it's just really great to see kids working that hard with a coach that's doing, Coach Bennett's just doing an outstanding job. And so it's kind of fun to see that. But yeah, we play everybody we can around here. I mean, being in the EKL, we get a tough schedule already, because it's a tough league, and it's been a lot of fun to be in over the years.
What did you learn from that game with, being your first loss of the season? Like, what did you take from that game?
Well, hopefully we learned some things. I mean, we've got some kids that, again, focus on the basics and just don't try and do too much at any one time, and do the little things. And if you do the little things, that'll take care of the big things.
I was looking on your website, and I saw like one of your mottos. I don't know if it was from previous years or something that you use over and over, but the mini play, if you understand. Do you still use that? And I guess if so, kind of explain it.
Yeah, we use that. We come in, we get a lot of kids that are very talented and come and play, but some of them really don't know how to go about playing with teammates. And I think for me, that's the beauty of basketball. It's 5 kids trying to do things together, and that's what makes it a lot of fun, and probably the biggest challenge in coaching. And so trying to get those kids with each other is the challenging part, because you can get an individual talent, but sometimes they don't know how to play with kids.
What's that process like, is trying to infuse them into the team and building that chemistry? Is that something that just comes natural, the more reps they get, or how do you try to, I guess, encourage that more?
Yeah, the process is, I would say, it's long. It takes a long time sometimes. Some kids pick it up quickly, and some kids really never pick it up. It's kind of one of those things that you just stay after and just try and phrase it different ways, and try and show them different drills and show them different things, and hopefully they pick it up over time.
Rick Hetzel joining us, head coach of the girls basketball team at St. Thomas Aquinas. I know you had some time at the college ranks with UMKC on the bench there. Like, what was that experience like for you, and what'd you take from the college ranks?
Well, I was very young and dumb at the time, and didn't know what I didn't know type thing. But you've done your homework, obviously, because not a lot of people can even remember back those times. But it was I'm still friends with a lot of those guys now. And they're virtually the same age as me. And so I was kind of, like I said, young and stupid and just kind of not knowing the opportunity that I had. Bill Ross was the head coach, and I had him some classes. He knew I was coaching and wanted to put me in there. And I was with Tony Guy was the other assistant from KU. And Tony was really with Coach Ross, the brains of the operation. I was just kind of tagging along and trying to pick up stuff as I went. And it was really I wish I could go back to that right now. I really do, because that would be, just so much fun right now, just to be able to add something to it instead of just kind of being there, trying to get what I could from Coach Guy and Coach Ross. But it was, I still remember a lot of those things. I still have my book with all the practice schedules in it and all Coach Ross's phrases, and still use some of those to this day. When he was being recruited at different schools, we'll talk about that too. Chew each bite of food 25 times, and those things. Some of these kids will tell you the same stuff, so it's just kind of fun to take some of those things and relive them, because that was a long time ago.
You talk about practice schedules. So, like, are you one of those coaches that wants to like pencil everything out as far as like, okay, hey, at 3:35 we're going to be doing this, 3:40? Like, how much structure do you have when you go into a practice?
Yeah, it varies. Early in the year, a lot, and then as we go on, I don't do it as much, which some people might view as wrong. But then I try and say, what do we need more of, and if it's going well or not going well, we'll spend more time on it. It's kind of more of going like how you feel with something, as opposed to maybe literally what you should do. If that makes sense. I don't, sure. It probably doesn't, but it's just more of a gut feeling, like, what do we really need to get done? And then I trust my assistants so much, because we've got, as I said, Bob Harbor, but Sam Paradise and John Novacek, that come up with just great ideas at practice and different things that we incorporate. And it's not like a college level or even some high schools where I get to spend that much time with them during the day. So it's more, we get the time right before practice starts. So we'll kind of vary it sometimes.
Well, I know you mentioned, your other assistants, but I mean, I always see like, programs that have success, and the continuity with the coaching staff is huge. And you mentioned, Coach Harbor, like being able to, just have that same coaching staff year after year after year, like the girls know what to expect. And like, how big has that been just for how you feel for St. Thomas Aquinas?
Well, you'd like to think it's great. And having Coach Harbor, the one thing you don't want ever is a yes man. And Bob will say, no, you're wrong. And that's important for me to hear many times, because I will be wrong, and he needs to kind of get me back on track. And the same thing with Coach Paradise. I mean, Sam is great. She won a state championship with us here in high school. And it's great to have her ideas and her energy at practice every day. And Coach Novacek is a longtime Aquinas alumni, parent, current parent. And so he understands the philosophy and mission of the school. So it's wonderful to have that in our program, along with Coach Allie Dirks, who's our C team coach, and she won 2 state championships with us. So we've got a staff that is just really fun to be with and very knowledgeable, and makes my job so much easier.
Coach, appreciate the insight to your program, and best of luck the rest of the season.
Thanks so much for having me.
That is Rick Hetzel, head coach of the St. Thomas Aquinas girls basketball team. We'll have more of the show after the break. Here's a hard truth. If your business isn't using AI in its marketing, you've already fallen behind. But there's an advertising agency in Kansas that can get you back up to speed. That agency's name is Meyers Enterprises Media Research. The name sounds dry because the company's run by engineers, not salespeople. They use superior research and analytics that drive results with surgical precision. Marketing doesn't have to be a gritty battle in the trenches. Your business can win from the box. Visit their website, mediaresearch.agency, to learn more. Welcome back on the show. It is time to talk some basketball chatter with our next guest, and it's going to be Joanna Chadwick with Vype Magazine and instructor as well for Derby High School. Hey, Joanna, appreciate you coming on the show and sharing with us some Wichita knowledge.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
So kind of run through your background, a longtime sports writer, I know, throughout the state of Kansas and with the Eagle there, and kind of explain what you're doing now for the last decade now.
Yeah, I worked at the Wichita Eagle coming out of college. So I graduated from Mizzou and then went to the Wichita Eagle in 1996, and I was there for 20 years. And basically I started thinking about, if I stay here at the Eagle, my own kids are going to go to high school and play sports, and I'll never get to watch them play. So that was just more than I could handle. Already my husband was he had been a long-time assistant at Heights, both boys and girls, and was there for the 4 straight boys state titles. I never got to cover those teams. So it was just too much for me to imagine not watching my kids play. And so in 2016, I resigned and started as the journalism advisor at Derby High School, and been watching my sons ever since. And teaching is just it is definitely, I feel very fortunate, as I tell my students, that I had a great career at the Wichita Eagle. I loved what I did. And then now I get to teach, which I also really enjoy.
How did you get involved with Vype Magazine?
So as soon as I resigned, Mike Cooper reached out right then. And it wasn't long after where he's like, hey, can we get you writing for us? And so I did quite a bit of writing for Vype. And it's been it's been pretty consistent over the last 10 years. And then over the last few years, I've been focusing on the website. It's just more comfortable for me to work for the website. It's kind of, I can plan things out a little bit more that work in my time. But interestingly enough, my 2 oldest sons, Blake and Cooper, they both write for Vype Magazine as well.
Nice.
So, yes.
All right, well, let's start with some coverage of a team that you're right there in right now at Derby High School. You talk about those basketball teams. It's been fun watching them, year after year. What's the story this year? How do they look?
Well, of course, the girls team is coached by my husband, Brian, and they are just so much fun to watch. They open the season in pretty tough schedule, and they finished second last year to Blue Valley North in Class 6A. And they took an opening loss to Andover. They did get that win back later. I can't remember now. I think it was early January. Where has this season gone? How is it already at the end of January? But in just some really excellent games. And Andover's just a quality team as well. And it's been really fun, though. Michaela Askew is one of the top players in the state. She's going to go to Elon and play basketball. And she is just super versatile, can score, she rebounds so well. And the number of steals that she gets is really pretty impressive. And then Asia Fox as well. But it's a team that has a lot of depth, and just they have different players who can step up at different times.
We had Nate Schmitz on the show, head coach of Wichita Collegiate, and he was talking about his press. Like, how impressive is you just watching Collegiate, especially for a guy, in his first season?
Well, I mean, he knows that he stepped into a good situation. When you have a trio like Sebastian Heinz-Turner, Junior Kamari Jennings, and AJ Batiste, that is an impressive group. They can score at will. I think that what they have done this season is impressive. They're putting up really big numbers. I mean, even just on Tuesday night, the 27th, Kamari Jennings with 33 points, and Sebastian Heinz-Turner with 30. And I really want to see the matchup that got postponed because of the weather, but I really want to see the matchup with Capon. I don't think they'll have a date yet for when that's going to happen, but they were supposed to have met in that El Dorado championship game.
You imagine a Steve Eck and, going up against that press?
Well, and that Capon team is outstanding. I watched them play Andover as part of that ABCTL versus City League match or challenge, and they played without Blaze Dalian, and they were impressive. And Blaze Dalian is a phenomenal player as well. So, and their depth is crazy. And that's one of the things, too, that when we talk about teams is just the depth, is that Collegiate has depth as well, and they've been able to develop that more. They go farther than their 3. And that's the thing with the Derby boys, too, is that their 2 top players are clearly Avant Riley and Cale Klingon, who just committed to Drury. But their depth beyond that is you could have another guy who comes up with 20 points, 10 points, 10 rebounds type of a night. And I think that that's what we're seeing in the area. Andover's got depth. And Heights has depth, is that you've got different people who are able to step up. So it's been a lot of fun to watch basketball this season.
I'll say, Wichita Heights, what can you tell us about their clubs?
Well, the girls team has a new coaching staff. Kip Pulliam was there for a long time, left, and then came back. And they're coached by Jennifer Pillage. It's actually the first female head coach since like 1974 or something like that, which I was absolutely shocked by. And they're fun to watch as well. And they're very fast. They've got some really good guards. And then as for the boys team, Tyson Phillips has really been, I believe it's Tyson Phillips, Tony Phillips.
Yep.
Tony. He's really been stepping up, and that's been a lot of fun to watch too. I covered his dad back in the day, and that was really cool to figure that out. But he's been getting some D1 offers too in football. He had a big night the other night, hit a game winner in another game. But Jalen Timmons and Jordan Timmons are also really good players.
You talk about, the City League and even the AVCTL. I mean, just how good it is year in and year out. I mean, do you feel like it's as good, if not better, than it has been in years past at this current moment?
That is such a difficult thing to say because, when you think about the City League and, trust me, I worked with Bob Lutz, if you know who, he was at the Wichita Eagle for ever and ever and ever. And to hear him talk about those 1970s teams, you think about the 77 Heights team, you think about Ricky Ross. There's just so many players who've come through. And then in the time since I've covered, with Perry Ellis and Connor Frankamp, but then there were also, the days of Taj Gray. There's so many players that have come through. We've been so blessed to watch just a ridiculous number of talented athletes. And, I think it's different now. I think that you see Wichita kids heading out to the suburbs to play. City League was a lot of the time it was juniors and seniors really stepping up. And so kids are like, well, I want to play when I'm a freshman. And so they head out. And I get that. But at the same time, I look at my own son who has, he hasn't had that chance until his senior year here, and now he's a starter. And so I get why people leave, but I often think that people are constantly chasing a better situation. And I think that it is amazing what you can do when you stick it out and you battle through, and it can really make a difference.
Hey, Joanna, appreciate your time and the insights, and we'll catch up soon.
All right. Hey, thanks a lot.
That's Joanna Chadwick with the Vype magazine joining us for Basketball Chatter. Are you looking for a new way to promote your business or organization? Do you want to get your message out to a statewide audience that loves high school sports in both urban and rural areas? Kansas Sports Chatter has advertising opportunities from commercials, sponsoring specific guests, product placements, and even a premier sponsorship. Let Kansas Sports Chatter promote your brand. Contact ksportschatter@gmail.com for more advertising details. That's ksportschatter@gmail.com. Come join the chatter. It is our next level talent segment on Kansas Sports Chatter, an opportunity to talk to former high school athletes from the state of Kansas that are now competing at a college or a university here in the state. And our guest today, Ellie Stearns. She is a member of the Fort Hays State University women's basketball team and out of Andover Central High School. Senior year, have you been able to kind of take everything in this so far on the season, Ellie?
Yeah, it's definitely surreal. You have all those blasts that you come throughout the season, and it's exciting to get to participate in them, but it brings lots of emotions as well.
Well, rewind a few years, Andover Central, your time there, you guys are really dominant at basketball during your career. What stands out about your time competing for Andover Central?
Yeah, just really the team I got to play with. You had 5 or 6 of us that went on to play college basketball, so we really just had a great team in high school. We competed well. We loved playing together, and then my high school coach, Dana Jefferson, she was awesome. We all loved playing for her.
You mentioned the amount of talent that went on and played at the next level. Did you guys see that growing up? Were you with the same group of girls even as a kid?
Yeah, we all grew up in Andover, all went to Andover Central. So we just got lucky that we all ended up in the same place. Lots of talent coming out of Andover Central. So it was really great to play with all of them.
Making it to the state tournament your last 3 years, so 3 years straight, making the state semifinals, like what was that experience like, just being able to compete at the state tournament?
I mean, it was very surreal, you know. So my freshman year, I didn't get to play. I had knee surgery, actually, so I didn't get to play. And then sophomore year, we were cut short for COVID in the Final Four. We made it to the Final Four, got cut short. So then junior year, we really wanted it, made it to the state championship, but we lost to a really good St. Thomas Aquinas team. You know, they had players going to OU, UTRGV. So senior year, we lost a few players, knew we still had a chance, but lost in that semifinal game and just really wanted to go out on a win. So got third place my senior year.
Standout volleyball player as well. Was there ever any doubts whether or not you play basketball at the next level, or was volleyball ever a consideration?
I did play competitive volleyball too, but I knew all along that basketball was what I wanted to do in college. So.
And then choosing Fort Hays State University, what went into your decision process?
Yeah, it's just a really great school here. You know, the community's really involved, so they make playing here very fun. The team, we're all very close, very connected, and then just playing for a great coaching staff, it made the decision easy to come here.
You talk about coaching staff, Natalia Miller. What's it like playing for her?
Yeah, she's a really great coach. So my freshman year, I had Tony Hobson, actually. So he's the one that brought me in and then coached me my freshman year. And then so it's been different having her, but there's been good changes, and we really enjoyed playing for her. She's a great coach. We've been very successful under her.
You talk about that first year with Tony, and you were able to play right away, get in that starting lineup. Was that something that was kind of expected for you coming into your freshman season?
No, I wasn't expecting it at all. You know, a lot of freshmen, it's hard to even get minutes as a freshman. So getting to come in and play pretty significant minutes I was very grateful for it, that he gave me that opportunity.
Field goal percentage, I mean, just looking at your numbers now, your senior year, I mean, you talk about constantly increasing your percentages, all those field goal percentages up this year. Anything specifically you tweaked or worked on going into your senior year?
I didn't really change much, just kind of built some confidence over the years, and, you know, confidence can go a long ways, and it's really helping me this year.
Playing in the MIAA, what's that competition been like for you?
It's a really tough conference. You know, every team can win any game, any day, so we go in prepared for every game. No, we have to give it our hardest, fight till the end in order to come out with a win.
Gross Memorial Coliseum, you talk about, you know, D2 facilities. I always felt like Gross is got to be right up there near the top, if not at the top. What's it like playing home games at Gross?
It's just so amazing. Like, we bring out the biggest fan base, so just the atmosphere here is amazing. You know, obviously our gym is great. We love playing there, but really the fans make it what it is. They show up for us, and they're always into the game, and it gets us going. So it's a great home court advantage.
What's that team chemistry like? I mean, because, I mean, your guys' ability at Fort Hays, I mean, year after year, whether it was with Tony or now with Talia, I mean, just consistently good. You talk about 20-plus wins almost every year. Like, what is it for you that stands out about Fort Hays basketball, especially now in your 4 years, that just made you guys so consistent?
I think we're all just committed to the process. We come in every day ready to work hard, give our best, you know, just really committed to it, and we have goals we want to achieve, so we know we have to work hard every day to achieve those goals. And, you know, we've had great players through the years. Katie Wagner coming out of Maize South, she was an All-American multiple years. You know, Liv Hollenbag, we lost both of them this year. But then we've had Telexa Weeder out of Goodland. She's really stepped up for us this year. And then playing with players like Brooke Levy, our point guard, who's averaging the most assists in the nation. So it's really just great to get to play with all these amazing players.
You talk about amazing players. Like, what's it like, even especially with like the Kansas players on your team? Like, did you know a decent amount about these players even before you arrived at Fort Hays?
I knew a lot about kind of the older ones, not so many of the younger ones. Like Telexa, I didn't know much about her, but obviously she's a great player, averaging about 30 points per game and really standing out in all of D2. So I just love playing with all of them, getting the opportunity to compete with each and every one of them every day.
Are you crossing paths with like other former high school, teammates or opponents like now in the MIAA?
Yeah, for sure. About every team we play, I know someone that played in Kansas in high school. So it's really fun to just get to reconnect with all of them.
Ellie, appreciate the time. Best of luck the rest of the season.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
That is Ellie Stearns, a member of the Fort Hays State University women's basketball team and out of Andover Central for our next level talents. Are you a person that's always on the go? You can still easily keep up with Kansas Sports Chatter with the audio podcast. Hear each episode on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Make sure to follow the Kansas Sports Chatter podcast. We are going strong in the month of February. We are less than 3 weeks away from state swimming. We're less than 4 weeks away from state wrestling and less than 5 weeks away from state basketball. Exciting times. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube. It is Kansas Sports Chatter, a statewide high school sports entertainment show streaming on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. We'll talk to you again on Thursday.